So I am an artist. I'm a fine artist. I recently graduated. I describe myself as like a young lady from Soweto raised by women and is interested in, I guess, the lives of the women around her and the lives of, well, her own life. I'm slightly like shy, slightly shy, but for most parts I'm quite fun and funny just to myself.
How did your art career start off?
So it started in varsity when I was doing, I think, my third year. And I don't know, it feels like it was sort of like a continuation of what it is that I already do. It's just that now the rest of like the world and everybody else like got to see what I do all the time, and they took an interest and wanted to show the work, wanted to purchase the work, and I'd say that's how my professional career started.
So how would you define your art style?
So mostly I do like self-portraiture and like a lot of figuration. It's only now recently where I'm starting to work with like archives and introducing like more people, more faces, some known, some I don't really have a relationship with in my work, but for most parts it's a depiction of like black women mostly, and from time to time maybe I will work with my friends that are part of the LGBTQI plus community, but yeah, it's mostly about centering the people that are regarded as minority, and just showing their lives and like how versatile they are as people, and they have like so many interests and so many interesting stories to tell, and mine is to sort of immortalize that on canvas for everyone else to experience and to be made aware of. Yeah.
How did you sort of come to a moment where you settled on the fact that your subject matter was gonna be like yourself or black women or members of the LGBTQI community? Like, how did you decide, like, this is my art style, this is my subject matter, this is gonna be my thing?
Yeah, I mean, I think most of that happened like in varsity, where like a lot of like discovering of the self happens. I started off working in, oh gosh, I've worked in so many different ways, but I think towards the end of like 2019, just reflecting and thinking about the work that I've been doing then and what it is that I have learned thus far in that space, and I just realized that I don't know, I mean, it seems like I'm doing alright in school, but I'm not really content with how I'm working and how the work is like being received, or like there's like sort of like a misunderstanding and miscommunication through the work that I was doing then. And I just took a step back, and I just, the question really to myself is like, well, how do you want to work, and like how do you see yourself, you know, how do you see yourself? Because I think also there was a lot of like self-doubt happening at that particular period, and I just decided to let loose a bit, or let go of like all my restrictions, and paint how I wanted to paint. I guess modern, and I'm interested in, instead of like going like the traditional art school, art history route and referencing like a lot of like the Western artists, I was like looking more towards like the black canons, and that's how I came across artists such as Kerry James Marshall, who's like, I'd say, my biggest influence. And I was like, oh, I want to paint like that. I want to paint like that. And yeah, I just decided to let loose and do my first painting. It wasn't meant for school or for anything. It was just for myself. It was titled Thinking About You, and literally it's like thinking about you, you know, like Zandile, I'm thinking about you and all your desires and everything that you want. Yeah, and it was like a self-portrait of myself, or at least how I, like a reminder of like this lady that I'd like to be, or that I envision myself as, who's like bold and just direct and is not really interested in like the commentary of other people. And yeah, from there onwards it just continued and continued until today, I guess. And now there's like sort of an evolution in the work, and that it's not so much like about myself only now, it's about like so many other things, because I'm like curious, and it shows in the work.
And how is your process when you are creating art?
So typically how it starts is maybe try and find a concept, like what it is that I want to talk about. What do I want to depict? Like, what is it doing for me? What am I hoping it will do when it's out there? So I'll start with like trying to figure that out, but sometimes you don't get your concept first, so you start with the actual work in itself. Maybe you have like an image in mind, like what you want to portray, and then you later find out like why you wanted to portray that particular thing. But if I find myself being uninspired, I tend to turn to my little library and just scroll and find just a reading or two to just broaden my thinking and my perspective. And when I do find the concepts, then we start with like the actual image in itself. I'm looking for references. Do I go to my archives? Do I go to the internet? Do I take pictures in studio? And once I have that done, then I start with the painting. So I don't know, it starts very like calculated and stuff, but as I paint and I continue to paint, like a lot of the decisions that I had made maybe initially start to change, and there's like a bit of like an organic movement and flow as I am painting, because then I'm changing my mind, and I'm someone that changes her mind very often, and I allow myself to be very flexible. Even when I'm painting, I'm not rigid. I'm like, okay, I guess that doesn't work. Let's try something else. And yeah, it's just a lot of decision making until we come to like a point where it's like, here's your final product, and it's like, oh, okay. Do we like it, or do we start over? For most parts, I guess I like the work. Yeah.
Are there any moments in your art career that really resonated with you?
The beginning stages of my work, when I used to manifest a lot, and just seeing those manifestations like come to fruition was like, I'd say, quite an eye-opening and defining moment for me, and it just opened my eyes to like the possibilities, you know. So I definitely think that like my early stages of like serious manifestations is what resonates with me, because I'm still like that, but like now I have like more confidence, and I feel like I believe that these things like are possible, as opposed to when I was like not sure if this is gonna happen or not. Yeah.
Do you have any other plans that you have in the pipeline?
I do. I definitely do. I'm currently working very hard for my next exhibition. So I have 2 exhibitions that are set to happen in July. One locally, as I had mentioned, and one internationally. I'm most excited about, well, I'm very excited about both shows, but I'm most excited to show locally, because I don't think I've shown like on that scale, like locally. Like I don't think people have seen so many of my works in one room. So I'm excited to see like reactions and participation and have conversation around the work, you know, because I think every time you converse to people and they just share things that you maybe never thought of, and it's like, oh, is that what you're seeing? Wow, okay.
Yeah.
Noted. Yeah.
It's always really cool to be in an exhibition space, because it's like we're just exchanging like
Yeah.
energy and ideas,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh, I see this in this painting, and you see something different. Like it's always very interesting.
It's always nice to hear what people see or receive or take rather from the work, and it's also nice to just present what it is that I'm giving.
So I always have a question that I love asking, which is, if you had a song to sum up your artwork, or yeah, just to sum it up, or like be the backdrop of your artwork, what song would that be, and why?
This might sound a bit like contradicting to like the energy of the work or the sassiness of the work, but maybe it's a bit more like in line or in tune with myself as a person. But I have in mind Sipho Gumede's Meeting Point. It's a jazz song, very, very mellow, very calm. But I think when I listen to it, like the motion and of the sound is sort of like spiraling, you know, it gives me like this spiraling motion, and I always think of it like how I think of like the journey in itself, the journey to success, or just the journey, you know. It's not linear, it's quite beautiful and poetic and chaotic in its own way, but still very like grounded. And yeah, I think I defined more of myself than the work.
I mean, it's interlinked, it's connected, so that's like giving us a window into like your artwork.
But yeah, I guess I'm part of the work, so cool. Yeah. But yeah, definitely that song.